Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Social. Glad to have you with us. We've got a lot to get to today, so let's dive in.
All right, let's talk about Tristan Thompson. He's being accused of cheating on Khloe Kardashian. An Instagram model is claiming they hooked up earlier this year after he and Khloe got back together to reportedly give their relationship another try. This wouldn't be the first infraction if it's true. So why is it hard for us to accept people who take back cheaters? There's been a lot of reaction on social media about Khloe taking Tristan back, allegedly. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a hard one because, first of all, there's a good chance Tristan's family's watching us right now. So I'm just going to do that. And then secondly, listen, I get that people jump all over Khloe and they're like, why? Why would you take him back? But I think if you put yourself in her shoes for a minute, she comes from a very tight-knit family. And say what you will about the Kardashians, they are about family first. And I would not fault her for wanting to try to have an intact family for her daughter. I totally get that. That doesn't excuse any of these allegations for sure. But I think for her to have her daughter's father and mother together, I think that that's a dream that she really wishes for. In fact, she was posting about this at his 30th birthday, which I think was only last month. And it really shows what she's looking for in this relationships. And she says the ones that are meant to be are the ones who go through everything that is designed to tear them apart, and they come out even stronger than they were before. This is obvious, and she goes on to say other things. But this is her hope, I feel, is like there's going to be trials and tribulations, and then they're going to come out on the other end stronger. This was before the latest allegations. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I do feel badly for her. I just want to say I totally get it if she's trying to keep, her partnership together, maybe for the sake of her daughter.
Yeah, I also think it can be as simple an explanation as she loves him. You know what I mean? But April on Facebook wrote, it's hard to watch people value themselves so little. Oh. And that, April, that is a common, I think it's a common reaction to this. The idea there is this perception that women are somehow weak when they stay. And I don't know, I have a friend who stayed after her partner had a small indiscretion. And she stayed because she had had one too earlier, only he never found out about it. So with that sort of, and they'd been going, it was just a tough year, that 7-year, they say, point in a marriage, and they had been through a lot, and they got through on the other side, and she actually had a lot of understanding when he had his indiscretion because she had been through it too.
It's interesting the way that the culture has kind of shifted around this narrative, what you're talking about. The shame before, for so long, particularly for women, was leaving a marriage, right? Like that was going to be like if you had children, and no matter what the dude did in a heterosexual context, and that was really the only allowable context, no matter what he did, the shame was if you broke up the marriage. You were supposed to just eat whatever came your way. Now that narrative has changed, which is that the shame now is if you could have left, if you stay. So people are very judgy when it comes to that. And it's an interesting thing just to sit with and think about. Yeah. I remember, Lainey, we talked about this a lot when Beyonce came out, and her and Jay-Z, of course, really talked very openly about his indiscretions and what their marriage went through. And there was a lot of judgment for exactly those reasons. People were looking at Beyonce and being like, why would you stay? And I loved the fact that they were so open about the reasons why they worked through it. Jay-Z talked a lot about the pressures on him as a man and what that meant, like the messages he got about sexuality growing up. It was a really interesting and really revealing thing. I'll just say that I like what Monica wrote to us on Twitter. She said, most people are one-dimensional. They assume one mistake meets a write-off, that this person can't change despite humans having malleable brains. Monica, I like that insight. And I just think we have to remember not every story is the exact same. So to have a one-size-fits-all reaction to it is very limiting and a little bit, I don't know. It just seems like to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Can we still use that expression?
Yeah.
But Cynthia, to your point about limiting, there are a lot of people who think that monogamy in and itself is such a limit that might not be realistic. I think all of these attitudes come from centuries of, and a lot of it has to do with religion, attitudes about sex and monogamy and what betrayal is. are we the only species who attach like value systems to sex? You know, like there's a value system there that is so hard to live up to, Cynthia. You probably studied this a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, feel like I've been saying the same thing for the past 7 years on this show about how complicated and nuanced, and we just don't have these conversations we just presume that everyone will be monogamous. And again, monogamy works for a lot of people really, really well. But for other people, if they knew themselves better, and they understood themselves better and they started those conversations earlier, I think there'd be a lot less divorces, there'd be a lot more empathy. And again, I'm not saying that there isn't that jerk out there. And again, they probably a lot of times are in certain industries. Like if you're dating the basketball player and you're dating the rock star, I mean, there are certain things that sometimes, not always, go along with those types of careers.
But we're leaving out something really important, which is gender. Our culture seems to tolerate men stepping out. Can you imagine if it was Chloe, a mother, who was habitually cheating on Tristan? What would the narrative sound like out there?
Yeah,
right.
It'd be quite different.
Right?
And
like, we know what happened to Britney Spears. We know what happened to Britney when she allegedly cheated on Justin Timberlake. He did a song and a video about it, and then she was slut-shamed around the world 10 times over. So this is the thing. Like, I love what you're saying, Sin, and I agree with everything, that monogamy shouldn't be the only option. I think there should be a lot of discussions. But in so many cases in our culture, we just seem to be like, well, he's a basketball player, so she's getting in. Like somebody just commented on Twitter, well, you could spot a player a mile away. She should be smarter than that. But it's like, is that how low our standards are for men? And what if it's the woman who is habitually stepping out? I just think that, man, we do have to talk about it. But I think if you're mismatched and you want monogamy and somebody else doesn't in the relationship, it's a problem.
Yeah. We have no idea what Chloe's been getting up to, though. Women are generally just maybe better at hiding. Anyway, here's a question. You mentioned Britney Spears. I feel like this is a story that, like, I've visualized her when I think about this. Do you remember the going out top? They were these shiny, lacy, or glittery kind of confections that were often around in the early 2000s. You pair them with your best jeans. A Huffington Post article says these popular looks from the early 2000s have been replaced with matching sets or dresses. So do you miss the going out top?
You guys, when you see those images, does it not evoke for you like a very particular time and place in your life?
Yes.
I'm blown away thinking about it. And the funny thing is I don't think I actually had the top, but I dreamed about getting the top. And I found like an early 2000s journal where like I collaged photos of like the going out top, like, and then planned outfits, like, with like jeans and stuff. I think I thought if I got the top, I would have the occasion to go out, but I never really got it.
What was that for? Just a regular night out?
Guess so. I don't know. I have like white pumps with a sparkly top and jeans, but I was working at a restaurant in this era, so I wasn't going to wear white pumps and a sparkly top to jeans. I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt probably, so maybe that's why I never got the top.
So wait, can you go back? Were those your dream outfits?
Yes, lady. They were my dream outfits. Oh my God.
Dream outfits?
It just is so, I think that if we were to bet which one of us had a notebook where we cut out our dream outfits, we would all point to Mel, not Jess. Like everyone would have lost that bet.
I can't believe it.
Jess and I are about as opposite on the style spectrum as two people can be. I am quite shocked. I am deeply impressed and I am shocked all at the same time because, yes, I didn't do a notebook, but I had the sparkly tops. You know, there was always like, there was the de rigueur was like, there was the sequin top. Even though I was wearing dress pants, that was like barely covering my boobs. Then I also had that top. That was a fave because it was tasseled at the bottom.
One.
Yeah, crochet. Remember crochet? And then you had your low-slung jeans with a big hefty belt. Oh, girl. I could go back and back. Those looks were hot.
Mel, I wish I knew you then. I wish I knew you so bad.
I like, Lainey, did you do that look? Like, I didn't totally do this look, I have to say. Did you do it?
I did it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all had that cut of jeans, which I will never go back to. And then it was like, it was all you did was like have that cut of jeans and then whatever, that top, those tops in every different color.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a few shiny ones. Like I had this one that was like pink, and I don't guess this qualifies, and it had like little like shiny sequins, like a lot of sequin shirts. But I thought it was just because I was a belly dancer at the time. This is me. I went through this era of wearing scarves. That's the shiny sequincy shirt that I'm talking about. But the other one is I wore a whole bunch of scarves wrapped around myself for ages, and it was very weird.
So. You mean a scarf as a top?
Place that. I would place
scarf
that
as a top.
Even though it was a scarf, I'd place it in the early 2000s for sure.
Okay, good.
Like it was a vibe.
So I was on
was
point.
a vibe.
The simple life.
All right.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't wait to hear what a lot of you have to say about this next topic. So there is a 30-something-year-old woman who wrote into Slate, and she says this: I'm looking for advice because she thinks that in her group of friends, she suspects that one of her friends may soon have a child, which would be the first in the friend group. And she says, I don't like kids. In fact, she said the word hate kids. So can she just ignore the kid? Oh, ladies, let's go into this one. What would you do?
Well, she can do whatever she wants, but she might lose her friendship. I don't know. Like I don't have kids. Simon and I don't have kids. And sometimes I feel like my friends really want to thrust a relationship for me to have with their kids upon me. And sometimes I'm like, like last summer, I went to some friends' backyard, and sure enough, their two kids get paraded out. And I'm just thinking I'm going to have a conversation with adults. And I never know how old kids are. I don't know. These ones were like 10, maybe 12. There are two of them. And I was getting ready to sort of be put off by it. But these kids ended up being the most two delightful creatures I've ever met in my entire life. I think because they were laughing at all my jokes. And I was like, oh my God, these young people like me so much. And I didn't want them to leave. So, lady, keep your mind open. You never know.
You're so good with kids too, Jess. Like Jaya still talks about you. He loves you. Like you really are. And I mean, I don't know. Like I find it funny, actually, speaking of you guys, because Lainey, also, you don't have kids. You've been very open about the fact that you don't love kids, but kids also love you. Like, I remember very vividly, it was season 1 of The Social. I brought Jaya for some reason, and it was like a dog who senses the person in the room who's afraid. He was gravitating towards you. I mean, obviously, I think I put him in your hands, but he really was captivated by you. Look at your face. I can't read that face with sort of like curiosity with disdain, with a dash of disdain. But I remember you were over at my house once and he was playing with your feet. He's really into you. And I feel like kids are drawn to you because you maybe they have to try to get you on side. They're trying to win your affection.
This is not a lie.
Look, she has the same face.
Kids are obsessed with me. I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I generally don't have that much patience for them, but my friends' kids are constantly FaceTiming me. Like, we want to talk to Lainey. And I'm like, why? I have no time for you. Why are you calling me? I don't even want to talk to my friends. Like, for some reason, and I wonder, I was thinking about this today, and I was wondering, is it because I don't speak to children the way most people speak to children? Like, I talk to them like they're my age.
Yes.
So there's no like, how are you, Jaya? And you're so cute. It's like, what's up, Jaya? Like, what is that?
Totally
Bring it over
like
here. And I wonder if they respond to that. I'm not sure, but I
here's
can
the
confirm
difference.
That kids like me.
You're not running around, Lainey. You're not running around saying, ugh, keep them away from me. Like, it sounds like that's the difference, because you're a good friend. Like you said, Jess, off the top, this person sounds about as selfish as they come. Because this is not about the friend and the kid. This is all about her. Like, I feel like she's sad. She needs to put the right words to her emotions. I don't think she's disdaining children. I think she's going to be sad that she feels like she might be losing her friend group. And I know that she's 30 or early 30s. I want to flag to her and anybody who feels that way. There's a lot that can change with you between age 30 and maybe age 40. And I think she's just feeling sad that she might be losing what is her close-knit group of friends. But she needs to say those words rather than, ew, can I just ignore your kid? Oh, wait, the kid that's not even here yet? The one that I've never met? Like, she was kind of came off as like the worst part of herself. And I thought, wow, I hope she takes a step back and realizes if you want to be friendless, keep going that way. There's a great saying. It's like, if you want good friends, you have to be a good friend. And if all of them start to have kids and she's the only one, she's going to find herself alone if she doesn't really just realize she has to evolve, grow.
But some parents, I don't know, I do remember being in my late 20s and 30s and meeting people who had gone from being like, having a lot to talk about to just only being able to talk about their kids. And when you're not at that phase of life, it can be kind of like, oh, okay, it really does shift the nature of your relationship. I always loved those people who you get together with them and they didn't mention their kids at all. But I mean, like, that's the thing. It's not, I don't think you can necessarily say, I can see where her fear comes from. And obviously she's being very harsh about it. But I do think it's incumbent on parents to sort of like, I don't know, meet your friends and have like different things that you can talk about. It's not always going to just be about the kid, you know?
I really like this comment from Sandra on Facebook. Sandra shared with us that I had kids really young and just don't have the patience anymore to handle small kids. Most of my friends are having children now, and I know my limits. An hour or two is enough to let them know I love them and keep my sanity. And, you know, to your point that you were just saying, Cynthia, I really appreciate this comment from Sandra because I do think that, like, you know, you want to hear from your friends that they won't become totally different people when they have kids, that they're going to still have a sense of humor, that, you know, they're not going to look at their children like it's a religious experience and they're angels and everything is the, like, you know, I do have friends where they changed personality, that everything was like, well, Bobby is just I just want to talk about Bobby all the time. Isn't Bobby so interesting? And you kind of want to say, no, Bobby is 6 months old. All he ever does is fart, eat, and take a dump in his diaper. I don't care about Bobby. Like, you know, and so I love that Sandra is having some parental perspective about that.
I love that too. Okay, guys, we're going to shift. If you're shopping for a house and you have the cash, this may appeal to you. There's a $1.7 million home for sale in Toronto that comes equipped with an English pub. So it's business upstairs and party downstairs. So would you want a pub in your home?
I love this so much. I want this house. In fact, it's actually just stirring memories that back when I was growing up, our very first family home, there was a bar, like a 1970s bar and a shag carpet. So like if it had just been preserved that way, I would love to go see that house again. Like our house, we have a basement and we have set it up a little bit, like not like with a bar, although that's maybe a future idea, but it's kind of like a nightclub. Like we have all these kinds of instruments, and inevitably in the before times when we would have dinner parties, the kids would go down there and they would put together a little show and all basically put on a performance. Do you remember doing things like this when you were a kid? Like just like, you know,
yeah.
Like I think we need more of this kind of an energy in your house.
I want you to think it through though. Like, you know, the kids playing downstairs is one thing because they have bedtimes. When you have a bar downstairs, and listen, I'm a pretty hard partier too. When I can get pretty lit. But you have a bar downstairs, your friends come over, and it is the place to hang. And for the first few times, the first couple of weeks, it's going to be great. Then you're going to have friends who don't leave.
Is that what's going to happen?
I can't wait to see what this house goes for. I mean, it's listed at 1.7. I swear to you, that's a teardown in some parts of Toronto.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.